Prayers to everyone who had Jared Allen in their slips tonight, guys. I know a lot of people had the over points or the over rebounds in one of their slips last night, and you could see how this costed me and the Discord a nice little 10xer here. Had 14 points, played 3 minutes of that third quarter, so just enough for us not to get that reboot with Prizepicks reboot policy, and absolutely demolishes the slip here. The bad beats last night were insane, even on this one. Derek White was looking so good, had 3 assists pretty much the whole game. Then last quarter gets 3 assists. So unfortunate for everyone that had Jared Allen on over points or over rebounds. I'm sure a lot of people did. As for the recap from the picks from the other video, it's been a while here. It went 2 and 3 here. So 1 push on Kobe White. These 2 picks hit on Draymond Green and Vucevic. And then 3 misses. So the run has ended. It was a pretty good one. I think it was like 12 and 4, 14 and 4, something like that. Now it's going to restart because this is not a good slip here. So 2 and 3. But those 6 flexes are coming. I just showed you guys 2 slips that almost hit. This could be the one that hits tonight. So we're going to start it off in the Orlando Magic game. And the first pick is actually going to be Wagner on the over 17.5 points. And we're going to be pairing this with another Orlando player on Jalen Suggs on his under 9.5 points. So this line is set too low. This line is set too high. So that's what we're going for here. I'm going to show you guys this on props.cash. So Wagner here is set at 18.5 on one sportsbook, FanDuel, and 17.5 on all the other ones. But look at the juice on some of these. Minus 130 on DraftKings, minus 148 on Caesars. I'm honestly surprised that Prizepicks has not bumped this yet. Expected to get bumped by 18, but if you watch this video in time, it should still be at 17.5. So at 18.5, he's cleared this 63% of the time this season. At 17.5, he's cleared this an extra 2% of the time. So I believe that's only one extra game where he cleared the 17.5. But pretty good splits to see. Yes, they're playing Minnesota, one of the toughest defense, if not the toughest defense in the league. First in points allowed, first in rebounds allowed, third in assists allowed, and fifth in three-pointers allowed. And that's important because we're going to look at that for Jalen Suggs. So Wagner is a three-point shooter. Like, he is projected at least 2 3-pointers this time, but not all his points are relying on that three-point shot when we compare it to Jalen Suggs, where he's likely to get 2 3-pointers and fill up 6 of his 9.5 points. I'm liking this play here on Jalen Suggs under and then Wagner on the over. It's because even though Suggs has hit this 73% of the time this season, I like that it's at 9.5 and not at 8.5. So you can see 2 sportsbook actually have him at 8.5, heavy juice towards the over. And the ones that have him at 9.5, which is where we get him on Prizepicks, have heavy juice towards the under. FanDuel doesn't. Especially on 3-point shooters, I like getting these extra points. It's so crucial. It doesn't look like it's that important. You can see, again, only one game where the difference was between that 8.5 and 9.5. But it's super important when you have a player like this who's taking 3-pointers, because if he gets to 6 points somehow, maybe off 2 3-pointers or off 3 2-pointers, when he gets another 3 at 8.5, your slip is dead. Your slip is dead because he's going to be at 9 points, and it's absolutely terrible for us. At 9.5, you have that wiggle room of if he's at 6 points and he hits a 3, you're feeling safe still. He's still going to have to hit another 3 or at least another bucket to truly go over that prop. And the fact that Minnesota defense is so strong, 3rd in 3 points allowed, 7th in 3-point percentage, I think Jalen Suggs is going to struggle here with the 3 ball compared to Wagner, who doesn't need that 3 ball to really get his points. He might only get like 6 out of his 19 points with the 3-pointers compared to Suggs, who might get 6 out of 8 of his points with 3-pointers. And I can show you a perfect example of how much these points actually count. And this is even on a bigger scale, right? These are like 21.5 points, 10.5, 9.5. Look at this slip here that I cashed the other day in the Discord. PJ Washington at 9.5 rebounds assists. That wasn't on the board for very long. I'm pretty sure he got bumped all the way to like 8.5, maybe even 7.5, because I think there was some lineup changes. But the fact that we got this at 9.5 and got the half-point extra cashes. Same thing with Brandon Miller. 21.5. I think this line might have got bumped to 21. I'm not exactly sure, but you could see how much these half points matter, because the reality is when you're playing on Prizepicks, a lot of these lines are set very sharp. So you want every single half point, every point in your direction to really help you out in the long run. I always see people complain, I just missed a prop by half a point, or I'd push at half a point. That's because you're not capturing the value in time. And these 2 picks I do believe have value and will get bumped. So obviously once they get bumped, don't take them. But if you get this video in on time, you'll be able to get the good ones. Same thing with Kevin Huerter here on the PRA, got exactly 21. So that's kind of what I'm looking at when I'm trying to find value on these picks. At 17.5, it's looking great. And same thing with Suggs at 9.5, it's looking great. So 2 great value picks, and they go opposite of each other, because if Wagner and Banchero, let's say, are getting a lot of points for Orlando, it's more likely that Suggs is getting less points because Wagner and Banchero are going to be carrying the team rather than Suggs needing to be there to take shots, because essentially the other 2 players are going to be controlling the game. And I like this even more because of this game total here. So -8 spread to the Timberwolves. Orlando Magic is away. And look at this total, 211.5. Like, this is super low. I don't even think I've seen a total that low in a while. Every other game here, 249, 225, 224, 233. Then you have this game all the way at 211.5. The next lowest is 219.5 with Portland versus Denver. So 211.5 is a super, super low total. It's very unlikely that everyone on this Orlando team is going to start going over their props. That's why I'm liking the idea that maybe one or two of the Orlando players go over the points prop and maybe one of them stays back, which in this case, I'm going for Wagner over that points prop and Suggs on his under. And I also do think it's a tougher matchup for Suggs here. So versus the shooting guard position, Minnesota is second in points allowed, and versus the small forward, they are about 10th in points allowed. So obviously a much tougher matchup for Suggs here and an easier one for Wagner. That is the first two picks of the slip. We're going to be turning this into a 6 flex. And the next one we're going to go is to the Atlanta game. We're going to have Murray on the under 5.5 assists right here and pair that up with Clint Capella on the under 10.5 points. Actually, it's 11.5 points. So these two on the unders. I'll take a look at this quick on props.cash. So the juice is conflicted on Murray's under assist here. See, some have juice towards the over. FanDuel has juice towards the under. I did check on Pinnacle, which is known to be, kind of sharper, more trustworthy. They do have juice on the under 5.5 assists. So I opted for the under 5.5. Also for a couple of reasons here. So over the season, he's averaging 5.2 assists and has only gone over 41% of the time this season. But that's actually quite inflated because you could see recently he's gone over quite often. But it's really because Trae Young was out. And without Trae Young, he actually demolished his assist line 6, 7, 11, 9, and 10, averaging 8.6 assists without Trae Young. So if you check him with Trae Young specifically, his average does actually drop down to 4.8, and he's only gone over 34% of the time this season. So that is the main reason I'm leaning towards the under 5.5 assists. And if we go check out Clint Capella, this one is a bit different here. So he has actually gone over 53% of the time this season. With Trae Young, his hit rates actually go up to 57% over the season. Yet every sportsbook has juice towards the under. And I think the reason is it's a bit of a tougher matchup versus Phoenix at the center position and an easier one for Trae Young at the point guard position. You can see here, it's not like the centers have the toughest matchup versus the Suns, but it's pretty decent here. They are 10th in points allowed against the center position. But if we look at the point guard position, it might be a Trae Young show tonight. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 22nd in points allowed against the point guard position. So if Trae Young's the one getting most of these points with Murray, again, kind of like the similar concept, someone's got to go under on the team. It's very unlikely that all players on one team are going to be going over. So if it is a Trae Young show tonight, you could expect Capella to go under his points with Murray under his assists. Despite what I just went over, there is two things that are really going against us here. It's this tight spread, so expect it to be probably a lot of minutes and a tight game. Go down to the wire for this one, as well as a high total, so a lot of points. So two unders, it looks a bit suspect when we're grabbing something in a tight game with a lot of points. But I did check. I mean, Murray, if I check him with minutes, you're going to see no matter what I look at, he's going to have low hit rates. Like even if I bump this up to 35 plus minutes, he's going to have low hit rates just because he just doesn't hit this often throughout the season, no matter if he gets a ton of minutes or a bit of minutes. See, even with 33 to 40 minutes, only 35% hit rate. Now, Capella gets a bit more scary, but as we saw, he has pretty decent hit rates. And I did check some minute projections on him. He's projected about 27 minutes on this site and about 24 minutes on this site. I think that's about realistic to where he's going to get. But just for some leeway, I put him 22 to 30 minutes, and he actually does hit this at a 58% hit rate. So I know a lot of you might be concerned about this Capella pick, but I do think if Murray goes under, it's likely that Capella also goes under. Plus, there's the juice favoring his under 11.5 points. But I'm here laying out all the facts for you guys, so do what you want with this. I'm still going to rock Clint Capella under 11.5 points and Murray under 5.5 assists. The fifth pick is going to be on Brandon Miller on his under 20.5 points. Another line that's looking very nice for me. So at 20.5, he is juiced towards the under on every single sportsbooks. And yes, I know LaMelo is questionable. He probably won't play tonight. But it's not like LaMelo has been playing the season either way. We could check the games without LaMelo Ball. It's been about half the season. So 21 games Brandon Miller has played without LaMelo Ball. And he's only gone over the 20.5 points 4 out of 21 times. And you could argue he wasn't getting many minutes last time. But you could look at the minutes. And recently he's been getting about the same minutes that he's been getting at the beginning of the season when LaMelo Ball wasn't playing. And this is still the games without LaMelo Ball. In general, with LaMelo Ball, he's averaging about 31 minutes. At least in terms of minutes, I don't think it's going to affect his points total too much. And honestly, what I'm liking most about this is just, it's a very interesting matchup here. OKC at home, minus 16 spread with a low total. I mean, that's like a recipe for Brandon Miller to go under because of the low total, first of all, and the spread. Like, if OKC doesn't blow out the Hornets tonight, they will be added to the list of absolute frauds like the Celtics, who couldn't beat a Lakers team without AD and LeBron while they had their full lineup. Anyways, that's just a side thought, but you could see last night, the spread was actually at minus 15 in that game, yet they actually lost the game. So if OKC doesn't clear the spread, they don't have to clear the spread, but they should be blowing out the Hornets by at least 10 points tonight. So that's obviously going to help get reduced minutes for Brandon Miller. So that blowout potential plus the low total, it does look very nice for Brandon Miller's under 20.5 points. plus the juice towards the under on every single sportsbook. Now to end it off, I'm going to go with Miles Bridges on the over 8 rebounds. I know I just said there's blowout potential in this game, but I do like the rebounds prop on Miles Bridges. And the fact that we're getting that push potential at 8, I think it's a decent enough pick to throw in this entry. It's a bunch of non-push lines with just one push line. So check Miles Bridges at 8. Recently, he's been on pretty crazy form on these rebounds, averaging 10.2 in his last 5 and 8.4 in his last 10. You can see he hasn't really cleared this that much throughout the season. All the sportsbooks do have him at 8.5, but there's really slight juice towards that under 8.5. And at 8, I do think it's a very good bet. It's definitely leaning towards the over on that over 8 rebounds. Like I said, the one thing going against us is really that blowout potential. But I do think OKC is an easy rebounding team, and the stats kind of show it here. 26 in rebounds allowed, and even with the blowout, I think there's still good potential for him to get the 8. In the past 5 and 10 games, he's been averaging about 4.4 and 5.6 on the rebounds. So if he does get like 5, maybe 6 rebounds in that first half, I think he still plays a decent amount in the third quarter, even if it's a crazy blowout. I still think he'll play a good amount in the second half to at least get 2 more rebounds for that push potential. And just in general, Miles Bridges' minutes are pretty consistent. I mean, maybe some of these games are blowouts when there's super low minutes, but he's averaging quite a bit of minutes this season. I mean, 37.2 is a lot. And without LaMelo Ball, it's slightly more at 37.3. And with him, it's still 37.1. So, he's getting a ton of minutes this season. Even with how bad the Hornets have been playing this season, he's still getting a ton of minutes. So I definitely do think there's potential on his over 8 despite taking Brandon Miller's under 20.5 points. So I already locked this one in. So this is going to be the slip for today.